we have to now obviously move to the big topic around the US men's national team. Andy alluded to it there. The breaking news throughout this camp was Weston McKennie's situation. He was sent home back to Juventus and to Italy after breaking team protocols and COVID protocols. Reports say a number of times, not just once. So obviously that wasn't tolerated by Greg Berhalter. He was asked to leave the camp. He has done. He's since apologized. Pulisic and Berhalter said they had to put it to one side. Berhalter has left the door open a little bit for him to return in the future if his play on the pitch suggests so. But Andy, how disappointed are US fans, the team, and just everyone connected with the national team? Because Weston McKennie, for so many people, was seen as the next captain, the leader, the kind of guy that embodied the spirit around the group. I mean, this is a big deal, and unfortunately, this isn't the first time it's happened to him. It happened at Juventus, where he was fined and suspended for breaking COVID protocols and other quarantine rules in Italy before. So it's disappointing, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is disappointing. I'm more disappointed in the situation, I guess, than I am in Weston himself. When you consider the stage of what we're at, that this is World Cup qualifying, that this is the biggest stage that he himself has been on to this point in his career, you would think that would really take priority over absolutely anything else. When he flies back over to the U.S. and he gets into camp, that he would be laser focused and locked in on that. And clearly that wasn't the case for him during this window. And so I think there's probably some questions that he needs to ask himself about, what are the most important things that I've got going on here in my life at this point? Because it was a distraction. It was a huge issue for this team, spanning a couple of games here at the end. And I know they got the result against Honduras, but you can't look at that game, or you can't look at the Canada game and say, well, Weston McKennie on the field makes them better. They get a better result on that game. I think it's pretty obvious to look at. So at the end of the day, you have to remember, this is a 23-year-old. We were 23 once and probably doing some, not the smartest stuff in the world. We just did it without the eyes of an entire country and multiple countries around the world looking at us and kind of critiquing every little thing that we did. So hopefully it's a learning moment from Weston McKennie. It would appear that no one was injured or hurt or anything truly negative came out of this situation, because the first thing that comes to mind is somebody else breaking some curfew in U.S. men's national team camp, Charlie Davies, getting in a very serious and terrifying car accident and nearly losing his life. And so nothing to that degree happened during this. So everything, all is well that ends well at the end of the day, but it doesn't end well until Weston McKennie gets back in the good graces of Greg Berhalter, gets back on the field, and turns in a few really good performances, and then we can just move on from this.
Nick, what do you think happens with his future? Is there a future for him? It seems quite clear there is, but there's got to be kind of some period almost where he isn't involved with the national team, right?
I don't know. We need the story. And that's the thing. Berhalter did not understand why people wanted details, and you wanted to grab the screen and you wanted to say, "Listen, man, we are judging you, and we're judging your group, and we're trying to feel like, what road are we on?" And if there were goofy stories going around in either direction, but the tamest one was, he got in trouble for taking his mask off when getting off the bus because that video was going around. And if it was something trivial like that going into a must-win game in Honduras, I would have said this coach is out of his mind. So once it became, he's going to miss 2 games now, people's attentions were piqued, and you want responsibility, and you want to know how to feel about him, because frankly, if it's anything more than a 4 out of 10 in terms of severity, then I understand him not being around. If it's anything less than that, I expect him back in November, maybe not starting, but with the camp and paying his dues.
Absolutely. And obviously there was a lot of problems, as we said before, for Greg Berhalter to juggle with injuries. Sergino Dest, Gio Reyna going down. Of course, Zach Steffen testing positive for COVID, even though he was double vaccinated. So he released a statement about that. And he seems to be doing well, but was back with Manchester City in England after that. So there was a lot to deal with aside from the Weston McKennie situation. And speaking of injuries, Christian Pulisic getting injured in the second half against Honduras. Not a good situation for Chelsea, for Christian, and of course for the US men's national team. Andy, he wore the captain's armband on the last 2 games, really seemed to step up as a leader after a turban from just recovering from COVID-19 and a positive test that he had with Chelsea and working his way back to full fitness. So, I mean, what do you make of this situation? Because Greg Berhalter said they will not know the severity of his ankle problem until he gets back to London with Chelsea. So hopefully, touch wood, this isn't another situation which sees Christian Pulisic on the sidelines for a few months, right? Because that's awful timing. Whenever he's injured, it's awful timing. But with October and November World Cup qualifying around the corner, the US really needs him now.
He's already second choice at Chelsea. We needed him to come out of this camp healthy with a couple good performances, take that momentum back, push back into first team selection for Thomas Tuchel, and be playing regularly between now and the October window. That's pretty clearly not going to happen now. Now it's a question of, will he even be healthy to be called in for the October window? We can cross our fingers, we can hope, but we've been down this path with Pulisic before. Now, at least it's not a muscle injury, which he's had a ton of, and it seems like at least it's been a while since he's had any injuries with the soft tissue injuries, and so this one just being kind of a contact thing, you can't really avoid that. So fingers crossed he gets healthy, because like you say, Joe, he did look good, especially in moments where somebody needed to step up. It was always him, dropping deep, give me the ball, I'm carrying past 2-3 defenders, I'm going to try and make something happen. He had a little bit of that Clint Dempsey mentality to him this window.
He did, and one more thing to keep an eye on for the next upcoming windows. As of right now, Panama is on the red list in the UK, so Pulisic, Stefan, Josh Sargent, maybe a few others, Anthony Robinson included, they may not be able to play in that game at Panama if the current restrictions from the UK government. We've already seen FIFA getting involved and the scenes in South America over the international break with Argentina and Brazil. So there seems to be, there's a lot of moving pieces. I'm sure there'll be something figured out between now and then, but that's another thing just to complicate matters even further. Obviously, Weston McKennie, that situation was not good. Pulisic getting injured is not good. But overall, the US men's national team are unbeaten through the first 3 games of World Cup qualifying. 5 points on the board. Not bad, not ideal, but just okay. I think we can sum it up that way. So head over to Pro Soccer Talk and NBCSports.com for the latest US men's national team news and World Cup qualifying news from all over the globe. And remember, Telemundo Deportes and NBC Universal are showing a lot of these games. You can stream them online on telemundodeportes.com as well. So we've got you covered when it comes to videos, streams, and everything else you need to know ahead of World Cup qualifying restarting in October. And we really are entering the crunch time now for nations all around the world.